Evening, everybody. Oh my goodness, that was just mental, that football match. So, I mean, the first half, let's be honest here, was absolutely shocking. And then the second half, we started off pretty poorly, but then we got better and better, really. I wouldn't say it was a classic performance by any means, don't get me wrong, but flipping heck. And like, we should have won. We should have won. That is just if that keeper hadn't have taken Wilson down, we'd be sat here celebrating a win. And I just can't believe it. Like I can't believe we were literally in a position to win that football match the way we played for 50 minutes. It was just unbelievable. Oh my god, I'm just so disappointed. Like at half time, I was just like, this is terrible, absolutely dire. And then at the end, I can't believe we haven't actually won it. What a roller coaster of a football match that was. I just can't believe it. I just cannot believe it. I'm gutted. I'm absolutely gutted. Evening, everyone who's here. So, um, Gail Gaia, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Yeah, only 29 and your heart. Yeah, that's a really big message, isn't it? I can barely see my face there. Yeah, so 2 points dropped. Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. Like by the end, we were like, we should have won. We should have bloody won at the end. Ah, I mean, whether we deserved to win or not is another question. But at the end of the day, the way the match played out, if Wilson doesn't get taken down by their keeper, he slots that into the net and we win 2-1. And I just can't believe it. I just can't believe it. So yeah, obviously the big news as well, regardless of away from the result, is the fact that Eddie Howe was in the stands next to Amanda Staveley, which for me was great news because obviously there was a report from the Mirror, I think it was the Daily Mirror, who were saying like the talks were on the verge of breaking down, but clearly with him sat next to Staveley, that's you'd like to think that that can't be true if he sat there at the match in the executive box with us. So. Oh my goodness! What did you lot think of the game then? What did you think? I mean, clearly the first half we can all agree was absolutely shocking. The second half wasn't brilliant. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like we were amazing. We were better in the second half, and Brighton couldn't get going. And whether that was down to us finally playing a little bit more attacking in the sort of last half an hour or 35 minutes or so, we actually did push up the field a bit more and looked a little bit more positive, which we've been dying out for. It's like, why don't we start games like that, you know? Um, Connor, yeah, just so frustrating. Just so frustrating. If he just hadn't have clipped him. I'm just saying to my brother, I don't even think that like it's not one of those clever professional fouls that saves your team. I think the keeper genuinely was trying to play it. I don't think he had in his head that he was going to take a red card for the team. And that's what's even more frustrating because it wasn't like I just can't believe it. I just can't believe it. Patrick, evening. I thought Murphy played well. I agree. Certainly in the second half as well. I think it was a strange lineup in a sense because if you look here, let me just get rid of the message off there. It was I don't know if you can see that very well, but basically the back five was almost the same. Obviously, Murphy came in instead of Mankier, and I think to be fair to Murphy, he did all right. Certainly in the second half, and towards the end of the game, he was helping us down that right hand side look a bit better. But Clark and Lascelles, there's massive question marks over those two. I mean, there has been in the fan base, for all season pretty much. But Kraft's Kraft. But to be fair, out of the back three of Clark, Lascelles, and Kraft, I mean, Clark was kind of he was at fault, wasn't he, today? Really for the goal. I mean, we'll get into that as well about their penalty. Lascelles, not fantastic if we're honest, but I don't know. Anyway, Richie and Murphy as the wing backs seem to work better in the second half. The frustration for me, I don't know what's going on with Saint-Maximin. I don't know whether it's just because of the formation we're playing or not, but I feel like Saint-Maximin wasn't an attacking threat today, really. And I don't necessarily think that's all his fault, but equally, I think is there question marks about his attitude? Is there something going on there that's deeper than I don't know? There's just something just not quite sitting right with Saint-Maximin for me at the moment, and I can't quite put my finger on it. So I honestly don't know. Yeah. So going on about the, I'm just going to change that banner because it. Sorry, it's just really massive. Let's just. There we go. Do it like that. Yeah. The central midfield's an area of concern massively, and I guess we can get into what do we think Eddie Howe's going to do with this squad? What's his priorities going to be? Because yeah, I mean Hayden. It's first half. Everyone was not good enough. It just the whole team was just not good enough. It's as simple as that. And Hayden wasn't amazing either. We did improve. We did improve in the second half. There's no doubt about that. We weren't amazing. I'm not saying we were, but we were better than the first half, which wasn't hard because we were so bad in the first half. And yeah, obviously Shelby came in today. I don't know. The thing is, Jones made some changes, but then it was sort of like the changes weren't always the ones that the fans want to see. So I don't know. I just think I'd have liked to have seen different defenders personally. Maybe play four at the back rather than this 3-5-2 or 5. I mean, let's be honest, it's 5-3-2, isn't it? At the end of the day, I mean, literally, or 5-4-1. Sorry, it's not even 5-3-2 because actually, what we had was St. Maximin. Literally, if you watched, like in the first half, it was a bank of 5, a bank of 4, which included St. Maximin, and then Wilson, like about 30 yards ahead of everyone else. It was just that was a massive issue. However, on the positive side, that should be Jones's last turn at picking the team. So hopefully Eddie Howe would have, I don't know what he'll have made of that performance tonight, but I'm hoping he'll have seen enough in the team to think that he can do something. I mean, he must believe he can do it anyway, but bloody hell, he's got a job to do, hasn't he? He really does have a job to do because there's so many issues throughout that team. I totally agree with this, by the way. People say, Connor, and yeah, Willock. Like, why is Willock not playing? Is it because of his injury? We know that he's been playing with injections, so maybe he's not match fit. But then, if he's not match fit, is there any point having him on the bench and not bringing him on? Like, we were playing better in the second half. Surely Willock would have been a good player to play for 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I don't know. I don't know. It's just there's just so much. Just so much. Sorry, I'm just laughing at this message. There's just so many things to do. Eddie Howe must. I can't. I just hope we announce him. I just hope we announce him. Really soon. Get him in. Get the players in on Monday. I know there's an international break now, but oh God, if we'd have just won, we would have felt so much better with the Brentford game after the international break. But we didn't win because the keeper, Dirty Sanchez, I love that. Yeah, and that's the thing. Actually, on a serious note, it could well be those 2 points by the end of the season could be the difference between us staying in the league and not. And there's enough time to dig ourselves out of this hole. Don't get me wrong, but it's getting pretty. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. I was surprised. Jones's decision making is weird because he brought Joe Linton on with about 20 minutes to go, and then didn't bring anyone else on until Gale after they had the red card, and that was very strange. That's a strange thing to do because I felt like maybe he was thinking, oh, we're doing all right with the players that we've got out there. Maybe that was his thinking, but I think that sometimes you've just got to be a bit more ballsy and just go for it. Get the players on. Brighton in the last half an hour really weren't causing us that many problems, and I think we could have just been even a bit more braver than we were. We sort of played ourselves into it, but I don't know. Wilson must be knackered. Poor guy ran so hard, being the only press. Yeah, he did cover a lot of ground today. The goal, it's just so frustrating. I can't get over it. It's just going to irritate me for so long. And just really, I just think we could have, if we'd have just had the win, it would have just calmed everyone's nerves down. I think, I think everyone would have just been a bit calmer. But now, the pressure's still on, essentially. I mean, the pressure's going to be on anyway, but I'll just put the league table up. If we could have just, like, we're 19th again, obviously Norwich won today. I actually don't think Norwich's win today. By the way, Norwich have just sacked their manager. So that they won today, but then they sacked their manager. It's like, I guess they must have just been waiting for the international break, I suppose. That's the only thing I can think of. But seems a bit odd after getting his first win of the season to then sack him. But so anyway, Norwich have won today. We're the only team in the top 4 divisions not to have a win this season. Anyway, what I'm saying is, look, we got a point. I said on Twitter earlier, actually, that it doesn't, whether we're 18th, 19th, or 20th at the moment doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, because ultimately, all that matters at the moment is that with 27 games or whatever it is to go, the only thing that matters is that gap to the teams above us. So 15th, 16th, 17th, all on 10 points. It's the gap to those teams above us doesn't get bigger. And actually, so far this weekend, I know Leeds and Watford haven't played yet, but so far this weekend, we've actually closed that gap by a point. It's annoying because we could have closed it by 3 points. By the end of that game, I can't believe I'm saying it, because at half time, I nearly turned it off. I nearly turned the match off at half time, but I stuck with it, thankfully. But if we were sat on 7 points now, we'd be feeling so much better about the situation, wouldn't we? But at the end of the day, Villa have played. They're on 10 points. So even if Leeds and Watford pick up a point tomorrow or a win, we'll still have closed that gap to 4th bottom. And I think that's a really important thing to remember. I think it's crucial that everyone remembers that. At this stage of the season, it's about keeping as many teams in contention down the bottom as we can, and for those teams not to run away from us, because we know we've got a hard December. We know we've got a hard run of fixtures coming up, but we've also got the opportunity with the next few games. We've obviously played Brighton today, Brentford at home, and then Arsenal away, Norwich at home, Burnley at home. And I keep saying this, but those 3 home matches, if we can get good points out of those games, 6 or 7 points from those 3 matches going into December, we might just give ourselves a bit more of a chance to be in touch come January. And that's what we've got to hope for, essentially. That's what we've got to hope for, essentially. Good result. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I did say before the game, if someone had have offered me a point, I probably would have taken it. But then the reality is a match plays out as it plays out, and it's very, very, very disappointing not to have won it in the end, just because of that Callum Wilson chance. He was through. He would have scored, and it's hard to not be frustrated by that. Good point, Colin. Yeah, this is our worst ever start. I think it's our worst ever start in history. Like, not even Premier League. Just. I'm sure the commentator on the stream I was watching said it was our worst ever. Like, we've never not won one of our first 11 games. So ever. So that's But in a sense, it doesn't matter. We can still survive. There's enough games left. But bloody hell, it's a hard job. It's an absolute hard job. Say what you like about Jones, but Brighton beat us 3-0 last 2 fixtures we played. Then we got a point today away and arguably robbed of 3 against the so-called best English manager. Yeah, Eric. So listen, we can't complain about the result. Okay. The first half was not good enough. The second half started in a similar vein, and I was worried because I thought, oh my goodness, it's going. But then from 50 minutes, 55 minutes, we played our way into the game, and I nearly said much better. Maybe that's a stretch, but we were better. And actually, I think Brighton, like I said, Brighton in the second half didn't cause us that many problems when you actually analyse it. They had more of the ball, obviously, but we sort of defended a bit better in the second half, and then we started to break and we started to create things. And okay, we didn't have many chances on target, but at the end of the day, 1-1, most of us would have bitten your hand off for that kind of result before the match. So we can't be too disappointed. But I think, like I just said a minute ago, the fact that we had that Callum Wilson chance so late on, it just hurts a little bit tonight. It just hurts that we didn't get the win, because we, just what it would have done to the whole club with Eddie Howe looking likely to come in would have been a big one. Um, yeah, thanks, chunky boy. Yeah, so I mean, we haven't got worse every single season. We've had, I mean, we're bad at the moment, but yeah, I take your point. The trajectory of the club has been downwards since those days of Shearer, and a couple of years after he left, we had Ashley come in and ruin the club essentially, and we're still this. Look, the effects of Ashley are still going to be with us for a while yet. Um, the new owners, we can talk about the situation with the managerial appointment and all, but at the end of the day, it, it it's because of Ashley. That's why we are where we are. That's why, because employed manager like Steve Bruce for too long. Any other club would have got rid of him. Most clubs wouldn't have even taken him, and it's just one of those frustrating things. Um, Soft pen for Brighton. Too sad chose to go down. Yeah. I mean, let me know in the comments. Do you think it was a penalty? Because I saw on Twitter it was kind of quite split. I think there was a really good. It was kind of like a good point by Jake Humphrey when he said it's a disappointing use of VAR because there was just one angle being showed, and it was the angle in slow motion that really sort of made it look bad. But why weren't they looking at multiple angles and at full speed and stuff? Because for me, he I mean, Clark was stupid to do what he did. Don't get me wrong, but and to be fair, you see penalties given for exactly that sort of thing hundreds of times. But what annoys me a bit with it was the fact that the Brighton player got kicked. He did get a kick, but then he planted his foot, took a step, and then went down. And to me that's annoying. But these days penalties are given for that, so it's just one. It's just again, it's an annoying thing, really. Very annoying thing. Right, I'm just going to catch up with some more of these comments. Yeah, well, we're the richest club to play in the Premier League. We're the richest club in whatever division we're in. But yeah, who knows what's. There's a long way to go. I've still not written us off yet. We'll finish evening, by the way, DJ. I know you're on my streams quite regularly, so appreciate you having you with us. You'll finish mid-table. Yeah, I'm not as. I don't know if we'll finish mid-table. If we survive, I'll be happy, but we'll see. Yeah, James. Yeah, I mean, we were robbed in that set. I mean, I still can't get over it. I'm gutted, absolutely gutted. We would have won that game if Wilson hadn't have got touched. We would have won that game, and that's what really really hurts tonight. It's just so annoying. Connor thinks we'll finish with relegation. It's not. Look, we're 5 points adrift. It's not over yet. We've got a new manager coming in, and you can think what you want about Eddie Howe. 90% of fans, I would say, are happy with him, and I think from what I can tell, I always thought he was a good manager at Bournemouth. Yes, the last season went wrong. There were reasons for that, I believe. He's a smart guy. He's a smart manager. I think he'll definitely make us better, and I think from what I can tell, he could be a real perfect fit in a sense because he's so dedicated to the job. He won't leave any stones unturned. He's thorough. He works his ass off, basically. And I just think it's exactly what we need. The problem we've got is the playing personnel. Can he get enough out of that group of players until January? Can we pick up those points I was talking about a few minutes ago before January? Can we get, I don't know, I mean, how many points we're on now? 5. Can we get to like 20 points by the end of December? I don't know. Maybe we can't. Maybe 18, 19 points, something like that. Can we get to that kind of level of points? Because that will probably give us enough to stay up. So we're not out of the relegation fight. We're going to be in it all season. I believe that. But we're not down yet. And that was Jones's last game by we think that was pretty sure that's Jones's last game. Eddie Howe was in the director's box. It's a long season though, but Newcastle's just crazy. It's just such a crazy football club. But like I said, we've got all these games: Norwich, Burnley, Brentford. Brentford are going to get dragged into it. Look, they had a good start, but they are getting dragged into it. And Norwich winning today was not the worst result in the world for us. I genuinely believe that. I think that helps keep Brentford further towards us, and we need to make sure that the gap between the teams that are above us doesn't get any bigger. In fact, get smaller. That's what we want. So, you know, we can do it. Call the police. We just got robbed. Yeah, and yet at halftime, no one would have said that, would they? No one would have said that. If anyone had offered us a point at halftime, we would have all taken it. But then because we had that thing at the end with Callum Wilson, we're all gutted. We're all absolutely gutted. Newcastle need an entirely new team. Yeah, Eddie Howe as a new manager is just a joke. He's not a joke. He's a good manager. He's not the top draw manager, but we're not in that position to get a top draw manager. That's the thing. The whole Emery thing earlier in the week, that kind of from that to Howe felt like a big disappointment. But actually, if Emery hadn't been in the frame, Howe, I believe, can come and do a job. Whether he's got enough to keep us up is open. You know, he'll be judged on that by the end of the season. But he's not. I don't think he's a joke. I think he's better than that. Personally, that's what I feel. Yeah, I agree. You know, feel we got done a bit. Should have won that in the end. No one would have said that at halftime, but ultimately, that Callum Wilson chance and the keeper took one for his team. I don't think he meant to do that. I think he was trying to. I don't think he thought, oh, I'm going to deliberately kick him and trip him up here to stop the goal. I don't think he was thinking that, the keeper. But it worked out well for him. That's the problem, and it didn't work out well for us. Gutted, because there's no way. I mean, I'm surprised the referee didn't realise what had happened, because there's no way Callum Wilson would be diving with an open goal in front of him. It's just like, of course the keeper brought him down. Next match is Brentford. If Norwich can beat Brentford, then we should be able to beat Brentford. If we can't win the next game, we are done for. Again, Connor, football doesn't quite work like that, though, does it? That's the problem with football. It's like, oh, well, they beat them, so we should beat them. But it doesn't work like that. I agree the Brentford game is huge, and we really do need to win a game sooner or later, so why not against Brentford? But if we don't beat Brentford, we're still not quite done for at that point. Like, I know it sounds ridiculous, but there's still plenty of games left if we don't beat Brentford. But we do have to start winning at some point, otherwise we are going to be absolutely screwed. Evening, Gordon, my dad. Yeah, so in 77, won the first match, they lost the next 10. That's the worst that you know of. Yeah, like I said, the commentator I was listening to said this Newcastle have never not won one of the first 11 matches. So this is the worst start in club history. Dubravka was on the bench, Patrick, and I think it's a bit weird why. I would put him in, personally. To be fair, I don't think anything would have been different tonight, because I think, you know, Darlow, the penalty was the penalty. But so Darlow didn't do anything wrong tonight, really, but I'd still have Dubravka in, personally. I'd have taken the penalty rather than the sending off. Yeah, I mean, the problem was, of course, we didn't. Sorry, like a different incident, wasn't it? So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that incident wasn't in the box. That's the problem. I don't know if that's about to. Why in the name of anything that resembles any figure did Shelby not take a shot or let someone take a shot? We lost 2 points today. I'm not sure what you're relating to there, actually. I must admit, towards the end of the game, I was the stream I was watching was slightly dodgy, so I kind of missed little bits of it. Fitness levels do seem to be improving. That's true, actually, Gareth. It's a good point, because actually, even towards the end, we were in it. We were really in it, weren't we? And actually, I know that in injury time, even though they were down to 10 men, Brighton finished the games like in those last few minutes stronger. It was a bit frustrating in the end, but yeah, we did hang with them for longer than we've hung with most teams this season. So we'll see. Relegation is certain now. Bruce spinning his gravy. Again, relegation is not certain yet. You know, there is a long way to go. This is retrievable. We are 1 point closer to safety than we were at the start of the game. I know this sounds like an incredibly optimistic viewpoint that I'm saying here, but these are the facts. And I am, when it comes to Newcastle United, I'm quite pessimistic. But there's still a long way to go. And actually, we are going to get a new manager. And what the key is to me is that if Howe can come in and make a difference immediately, we'll be all right. But if Howe comes in and we struggle against Brentford, Norwich, Burnley, at that point, then I'll be thinking, yeah, we're certainly going to go down. I don't think we're certainly going to go down now. I think the odds are against us. I think it's going to be bloody hard for the rest of the season, and I think we're going to be in a relegation fight until the end of the season. But we're not down yet. We're not. We're not certainly down yet. We're 5 points from safety. It is retrievable with 27 matches left. It's hard, but it can be done. And I think Eddie Howe wouldn't come in. I don't think. I mean, someone obviously would come in, but I think Eddie Howe wouldn't have come in if he didn't think he could sort it out. So we've just got to hope and put our belief and hope and trust his process that he can turn this round. And really start playing players in the right position, start playing a bit more progressively and attacking wise. And actually, when you look in the second half, we did do that. We did play. We pushed up a bit more. We had width. And okay, it wasn't perfect, but there was a little bit of something there. There was a little bit of something there, and I just think it's very easy to be negative at this situation. And at halftime, I was absolutely negative. But you've got to draw on the positives when they are there, and there were a few by the end of today. Even though it wasn't a great performance overall, and the first half was dreadful, but there was some okay stuff that we saw there, and I think how there's enough in that team to see us okay until January. I do genuinely believe that. But it's all about the manager setting us up correctly, making us hard to beat. We have scored a few goals this season. We can score goals. That's the good thing. If you can score goals in the Premier League, you've got a chance. I think we've scored 12 goals now in 11 games, which, okay, it's not amazing, but we're also, it's not like we're scoring less than one a game, if you see what I mean. So, I don't know, just there's a long way to go, isn't there? It'd be interesting to see what Howe says first. So Asif said, I said we'd get 10 in the next lot of fixtures up until Christmas, so that's 9 more to get. Yeah, and what would that put us on? 14 points. I'd like us to have slightly more than 14 by the end of, well, I suppose by New Year I'm talking, but I think if we can have somewhere in the region of about 17, 18 points by 2022, we might be okay. Much better than the other game, but we choose to get a victory. Yeah, we would have taken a victory all day long. Connor, definitely penalty. People saying that it wasn't in denial, honestly. Yeah, I think overall I agree. I think I would say it was a penalty, but I think the annoying thing was that it was like the VAR thing slowed down. He took us to, I don't know. But he did get kicked by Clark. It was stupid. It was absolutely stupid. New manager, good run of matches after the international break. We can get a couple of wins, then get through to the new year and get some new signings. As I say, we've got some tricky matches. We know that. We know we have. We've got those into December. So Burnley's the start of December, and then in December we've got those, which we know is a hard run, isn't it? We know that. But Everton away is going to be tough, but they're misfiring. Who knows what Man United at home is going to be like? I mean, obviously they're a better team than us, even with all their problems. Liverpool and Man City probably going to write those games off for sure. Leicester away, a very tough game, but you never know, do you? This is the thing. Like you just never know what might happen. You've got to keep the faith, otherwise we wouldn't watch football, would we? So Brentford next, Arsenal away. That'll be tough. Arsenal are playing pretty well now. And then Norwich, Burnley at home. Those 3 home games. I keep saying it, but those 3 home games, absolutely massive, absolutely massive. And oh man, if we could win 2 of them and get a draw, that'd be good. If we could somehow win all 3, that would be some run of form, wouldn't it? But It's unlikely with the way we've started. You can't just suddenly turn it on and expect to get like maximum points. Evening, Andy. How will change the starting 11 for sure, and that absolutely he's gonna. It will. I think from what I've read about him, he prefers playing like a 4-3-3, and I think he'll try and do that with us. I think he'll go back to a back four, and he likes to play attacking football. Now, obviously, our concern, that's great, but obviously we need to make sure we're tighter at the back because we're still shipping too many goals. We've not kept a clean sheet all season, so that's massive as well. We need to stop conceding goals every match, and I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see what Howe will do, but I don't know. I feel quite good about Eddie Howe. Maybe it's just because I'm so desperate for any manager to come in. Like I said the other night, I would have. I could have got excited about anyone really. This is the most excited I've been about a Newcastle manager appointment for a long, long time. Because normally we're just told we've got some moron managing us. Apart from like when Rafa came in, I suppose that was quite exciting when he first came in. But yeah, then we've had Joe Kinnear. No one wanted Pardew, did they? Although we had one good season under him, and yeah, I mean, Houghton was all right. He was a bit. Like I like the guy, but it wasn't like he was announced and it was like, oh, that's great. He was sort of caretaker for a bit and then was given the job, wasn't he? So anyway, I don't know. Interesting that, John. 40 year following the tune. I've had enough. Eddie Howe. That's it all for me. Won't be back. Well, that's your choice, I suppose. That's your choice, but I think we'll be all right. I don't know whether we'll stay up, but I think we'll get better from this point. I think Eddie Howe will at least make us. I think we'll get better defensively. I think we'll definitely get better attacking in an attacking sense. And the reason if we do get relegated, I believe will be because of this start we've had, and not doing enough in these opening matches because we've wasted a lot of games where we've played some of the teams in the bottom half of the table and not beaten any of them. So it's each to their own. But it's I mean, you spent 14 years sticking with us through Ashley, and now you're going to walk away. That surprises me, to be honest with you, because things might get worse before they get better, but they are going to get better. They are going to get better. There's no doubt about it. It might take a year or two, longer than we all thought, but this club's a shell because of Ashley, and we've all stuck through it because of him. But personal choice and all that. Watch how move Richie to the right wing where he played him before. Interesting. Yeah, I mean the thing is as well, you've got to remember we've had Richie for quite a few years now, and I think there's quite a few players in that squad that we've had for like 5-6 years since we came back up to the Premier League, and we're gonna need to refresh a lot of the squad at some point, but we also have to work with what we've got initially and until the end of the season, because ultimately we can't get rid of everyone in January. So Howe's going to have to identify the players he feels he can work with. And I believe, I agree with you there, Gary, that Richie will be one he trusts and knows very well. So it wouldn't surprise me if Richie continues being a regular. I've heard a lot of people criticising Richie, but personally, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think defensively he's necessarily the greatest, but in an attacking sense, I still think he has something to offer us in this squad because we're so short of options. I think, and he's like one of those. I think he's a good presence as well, just around the club. He's one of those players that you kind of need in your club to just keep everyone. Like I feel like he's a good character to have around, if that makes sense. After Brentford, we have some tough teams. We should really get a win the next game. We do have to win soon. We have to start winning soon. And Brentford would be a perfect opportunity. Ultimately, look, who would you like Eddie Howe to have as his first game? Apart from Norwich, the way Brentford are currently playing, you'd be one of the ones you'd choose at home. So you never know, do you? 26 matches remaining with a better manager and a January transfer window. It's not do or die. These are the facts. Yeah, exactly. I think, It's hard. It's a blooming hard job to do. We know that, but it's not impossible. And we've struggled through with to 11 matches now without winning. That's a big chunk of the season. But finally getting a manager in, and we've just got to get behind him and hope that he can make a big change soon. We've got a 2-week international window before the next match, and I think he'll have them in. Obviously, there'll be some players away, but he'll have them in. I think he'll be training them, going over stuff, and I think we'll see a big difference against Brentford. If I'm honest, I think we really will see something that is much better and much more cohesive as a team. But who knows? Who knows what will happen? We might lose, and it will be a disaster, and everyone will be worried again. Peter, evening, Peter. Can't we just sack Shelby now? He's a joke. I don't think Shelby will be around too long under Eddie Howe. If I'm honest with you, I think he might be one of the ones. It wouldn't surprise me if he went in January either. That's what I feel like. I can't see him getting much game time under Howe. Regardless of how this current squad performed this season, we now have a new manager, new owners, and a lot of cash. It will get better, but this season is going to be painful. Yeah, I totally agree. At the end of the day, this is the fact that it's just the only thing we can do this season is survive. That's it. That's the only aim we can have. We cannot start planning for next season until we have secured Premier League status or got relegated. Like we can't really plan properly. So the new owners, they've just got to hope that they'll back Howe. He will do his job and hopefully he can get something out of these players. Because I know that a lot of us have concerns about the attitude of these players. I'm hoping that a lot of it is down to confidence and just being drilled out of them, and that he can get a reaction out of these players and just some togetherness. And anyone who doesn't want to be part of that, they can go. And I think that's what he'll do. If he doesn't get a reaction from certain people, he'll get them out. And because we don't want negativity in that squad, we have to believe we can survive. Otherwise, what's the point? Like if the players don't want to be there because they think that that they're going to get relegated, get rid of them. So Newcastle are horrible. That's clear to everyone. Now, what players do you think will actually want to come to Newcastle? Well, look, there'll always be players want to come to Newcastle, and one thing I've said repeatedly on this channel is, we're not stupid. We're not going to go out and buy world class players. We know that we're not stupid. What we'll do is identify players who maybe want to move, maybe want to come and play in the Premier League, maybe fancy their chances to prove a point. And the question that you ask is, does this player improve our team? And if the answer is yes, you buy them. And it's as simple as that. And there will always be players out there who will want to do that. And so there will be players who want to come to Newcastle, believe it or not, even though because this is the thing. If we survive, it's a great platform to have. Because then next season's not going to be like this if we survive. But yeah, so basically we'll end up with some players who are cast-offs from other teams. That's fine. We don't mind that. It's about just improving the team and having players who can be better, and they're actually Premier League quality. Because a lot of our squad, I believe, are not Premier League quality, and really we're asking how to get a lot out of a Championship level squad. So we're not deluding ourselves and thinking that we've got a brilliant squad that's just been mismanaged. It has been mismanaged. Steve Bruce hasn't done a good job with that squad, but also we know that a lot of the squad simply aren't good enough. So we're not stupid. Really? The worst football that you've ever seen? Surprises me. People say some really interesting stuff. The worst football you've ever seen. I've seen worse footballers than Almiron. He didn't cover himself in glory tonight, and I've said for a long time his output is not enough. It's not good enough, but he's not the worst footballer I've ever seen. Yeah, a cryogenic sleep till January. If only we could do that, or even till the end of the season, and just wake us up when we've survived. Oh, it's nice of Nuno to join us. Did you not fancy the job yourself, Nuno, or were you not approached? Yeah, with Eddie Howe, Newcastle will be Newcastle again. I think what Eddie Howe will bring, like I was trying to say, is we might not survive. We might still get relegated. I know that. I'm not saying we might. I'm not saying 100% Eddie Howe's going to come in and it's all going to be amazing. There's going to be ups and downs. Hopefully, we get a new manager bounce, we get enough points, and then we somehow scrape through to the end of the season. But what he will bring is a better brand of football. So we might even if we get relegated, we might actually enjoy some of the football a bit more this season. So we will see. Will we ever have a comfortable season? It wouldn't be Newcastle if we had comfortable seasons, but it would be nice every now and then, wouldn't it, to have a comfortable season. This is an interesting point that keeps coming up. Jones needs to move on. What does everyone else think to that? Like, I'd love to know what people think to that, because I think we all thought when Bruce was here, Jones was kind of a big part of why we did better last season. When Willock came in and we went on that run and we ended up, winning quite a few games towards the end of the season. A lot of people gave Jones credit for that. But the last, these 3 games that he's been in charge haven't been great, have they? As a manager, does he need to move on because he's linked to the old regime? Do we just need to cut him off because, he's linked to them? And he's basically setting the team up almost worse than Bruce. Like, it's crazy. That's how bad some of these performances have been in the last 3 games. Very negative style. Or is Jones a good coach and could do a good job for us? There must be something about him. He went to the Euros with England and that sort of thing. So I don't know. Or is he? Or I heard as well that maybe I can't remember who said it, but someone said that he's quite arrogant. Apparently, I don't know if that's true or not. And maybe a lot of the players don't particularly like him. So maybe we need to cut him out for that way. I'd love to know what people think about that. Patrick's not impressed with Jones. Nick, evening, Nick. Eddie Howe is a meticulous, dedicated manager. Regardless of our fortunes this year, we'll have a man committed to producing excellent football with a long-term plan and financial backing. And this is what I'm trying to say, Nick. Like, if you look at his record, people say, "Oh, he got relegated." Well, yeah, but so have lots of managers. They've got a relegation on their CV. It doesn't mean they're a bad manager. He did an amazing job with Bournemouth, and for many, many years, everyone was raving about him because of his approach, because of the style of football, because of what he did with a team like Bournemouth, who took them from the brink of disaster, like nearly going out of business, to the Premier League and kept them there for 5 seasons. And he did it playing good football. And I think he does. He will have a plan. He's very dedicated. He's a workaholic. And that's what we need. Ultimately, we've had a part-time manager for the past 2.5 years, and Eddie Howe's not going to be like that. He'll be very, very different. And like you say, Nick, regardless of whether we stay up or down, we've got a man who is going to be committed to the football club, committed to playing good football, and he will have a plan. And you said financial backing. Why? Jones has been a fraud. As soon as I saw 5-3-2 in the games, I knew it was going to be awful. It's disappointing that he didn't move away from that. I think against Palace, people were like, okay, well, we'll allow him that because obviously we were so concerned about how bad the defence was. But then that carried on against Chelsea. But I mean, Chelsea are a very, very good team. Don't forget that. Although flipping heck, Burnley drew with them today. It was very defensive, wasn't it, against Chelsea? We never laid a punch on them, and that. Ultimately, if you're going to try and win or draw a match in the Premier League against someone like Chelsea, you've got to have at least some attacking play. And this formation just hasn't done that. And again, the first half tonight was dreadful. The first half was as bad as I've seen for a long time, and that includes all the Steve Bruce games. It was on a par with that at least. And yeah, we did get a bit better in the second half, which was fine. We got a little bit better. We started creating some stuff, not amazing chances. We didn't have that many shots on target. In fact, let me just see. I got the match details up, actually. How many shots on target did we have in the end? Did we just have one? Yeah, 1 shot on target. 6 shots altogether. So we had a little bit more possession in the second half. It wasn't fantastic. It wasn't vintage. We we feel robbed because of the Wilson thing, but yeah, Jones hasn't covered himself in glory with the way he set the team up. Wicked Dust I thought Jones was going to be a lot better than he has been. He's a good coach, like you say, but I feel like we all thought he'd tighten us up a bit, but also help us play a bit more expansively. Like after Bruce, you would have thought he would have seen what we need to be on the ball a bit more, pass it forwards more, break forwards, and it just hasn't really happened. It's been quite disappointing. The last 20 minutes of the match tonight, 20, 25 minutes, whatever, we did start to do that a little bit, and we did look better. And actually, we actually went toe to toe with Brighton a little bit more in the second half, or the second half of the second half. So there was a glimmer there that we can do it, but yeah, I'm disappointed with the way he set us up. I'd keep Jones if he's willing to buy into Howe's philosophy, learn and eat humble pie as an assistant. Yeah, the thing is, I think it's been reported that, or Jones said, didn't he, in a press conference, that he's been assured of his future. So it sounds like the new owners have said he's got a role within the club, and I wonder if that's partly because there's just not that many coaches at the club, and obviously the Steves and what have you, they'll be off, won't they, when Eddie Howe comes in? But maybe, I don't know. Maybe they feel like Jones has got a role to do within the club. Who knows? We'll see. I guess we'll find out soon, won't we? I guess we'll find out. Right, I've got loads of messages here. I'll keep. Let me just. There we go. So Jones was firefighting. The last 3 games have not been pretty, but fitness and defense. Yeah, to be fair, that's a good point, Aaron. The fitness has improved, like we've said. So that's a tick. He's training them more, so that's fair enough. And there is more organisation in defence. We played quite clearly with a back 5 and then a line of 4 in front of them. If you watched us early on in the game, the problem with that, like I say, is it doesn't allow us to be attacking, and we're not good in possession, so the ball keeps coming back to us, and that's where the frustration is. But yeah, the fitness has improved, and actually, another 2 weeks before Brentford, you'd like to think that the fitness can improve even more, and then we can really keep hanging in games. He's a good coach, not a manager. I think that's clear to see. That he's definitely not a manager. Klopp was relegated. Yeah, he was. And I think someone made a really good point about that. Like, they listed all these managers who have had a relegation on their CV, and people were like, yeah, but then Klopp's won like all these trophies and stuff, and it's like, yeah, but when he got relegated on his CV, he didn't. He then was relegated and then became a better manager because of it. And again, Eddie Howe has used his time out of the game to work with, like, he's worked with coaches in Spain. He's apparently watched all our matches. I don't know if that's true or not, but he's been busy. He hasn't been doing nothing for the last year and a half. He's been working on getting better as a coach and a manager. So, he might come in and have new ideas that he can build on from what he did with Bournemouth. Like, he might have learnt new things, new techniques, things that might make him a bit better. So, no, we don't know how he's going to perform, but we've got to have that belief that he is all right. I'm quite excited when that story in the Mirror broke earlier today about the deal possibly collapsing because of his backroom staff. I was gutted. So for me, that showed me how invested I've become in Eddie Howe, and I think like I say, it's very easy to just say, "Oh, he's got a relegation," but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that he's got that. He did an amazing job with Bournemouth. Jordan says, I think we need to just get rid of all the backroom staff and just start with a fresh mind. I think that will happen. I think the only question mark is whether Jones will stay or go. But I think apart from that, I think that the rest of them will. Klopp pretty much did the exact same thing Howe did with Mains. Is that right? So he got them promoted, did he? A few times or a couple of times or whatever, and then ended up getting relegated. UK Jack says, prefer not to have Jones around. Can't help thinking Eddie had some input at half time tonight. I would love to know if Howe went down to the changing rooms at half time. I actually tweeted out, I said, I hope that Howe goes down there and just, says something to them. Davey doesn't think Jones deserves a contract at our club. Done nothing, and he's Mike Ashley's man. I think he's always going to have that on his record, isn't he? That he's Mike Ashley's guy, and I think that's not a healthy thing at our football club, because ultimately, as fans, we want rid of every single link to Ashley. But then, on the flip side to that, do you let a good coach go just because Ashley brought him in? I don't know, because I think he is. I think he is a good. I think he is a good coach. That's the thing. Like Aaron was saying a minute ago, fitness has improved and defensive organisation has improved. You can't. I don't think we can deny that. But I mean, we conceded 3 to Chelsea, but Chelsea are a hell of a team, and they'll score 3 against lots of teams this season. So we shouldn't read too much into that result. Like I said, the frustration is the fact that we don't have any plan to attack, and that's where the criticism for Jones for me has come in. Right. Yeah, Wilson should have stayed up. He got tripped. He couldn't have stayed up. Momentum. He got clipped. Like he would have stayed up. It was a red card because he was brought down. He couldn't have possibly have stayed up. He wanted to stay up. Why would he have? Why would he have gone down on purpose at that point, Gavin? He did definitely get he got completely taken out, and because when he's running at that speed, just the tiniest touch can bring you down, and it did. Brentford, Norwich, Burnley. How couldn't ask for 3 better home games than those? Beat Brentford, and we will win at least 1 more, maybe all 3. We need to Dubravka, Shah, and Fernandez in. I think most fans agree that those 3 need to come in. And look, Fernandez, I think, is the best centre back we've got at the club, and Shah can play a bit, and he certainly can't be worse than Lascelles and Clark at this moment. Clark, in particular, looks out of his depth in the Premier League, and he's an honest guy. I don't have a problem with his attitude in terms of work ethic, but he's just not up to it. That's the bottom line. But you're right, Brentford, Norwich, Burnley for first 3 home games. He couldn't ask for a better 3 home games, but also the pressure is on him to get results in those games. And if we come out of those games with like 2 draws, that's gonna. I really think we'll be struggling to stay up if we don't win at least one of those games, or 2 really. Yes, yeah, exactly. And to be honest, I'm sure that in the negotiations with Howe, he's probably already talked about some players that could come in. And knowing what I know about him now, it sounds like he would have proactively been looking at players who would fit the style that he wants to play and bring to Newcastle. So I think he's got big ideas, and if they can back him, I think we just need to trust him. New manager money do mix. Cheers, William. 2 looked okay second half. Yeah, we did. I agree with that. The first 5-10 minutes of the second half carried on like the end of the first, or the whole of the first half, which wasn't good. But then from like 55 minutes onwards, I feel like we were better, much better actually. We weren't. It wasn't a brilliant match. It wasn't a brilliant performance overall, but we did okay. And I think we got the goal, which was fab, and then from that we got some confidence, and we sort of did keep trying to attack them, and we were playing further up the pitch, which was like the first time we've done that for God knows how long. Like I can't remember the last time we played some of our football so far up the pitch for like a prolonged period. It was like I said, the last 20-25 minutes or so, we were playing more in their half than our half. So it was better. It wasn't amazing, but it was okay. That's kind of the word, isn't it? It was okay in the second half. Yeah, and just to reiterate at Howe's record, what he did for Bournemouth, League 2 to the Premier League, stayed up for 5 years. And that's right. They did have a lot of injuries when they went down, and basically it was quite interesting. I saw a clip. I'm sure some of you will have watched it as well. I saw a clip from Sky Sports where it was like Monday Night Football last year, but they put his record up from all the 5 seasons in the Premier League at Bournemouth, and the stats were almost identical every season, and yet one season they finished 9th. And some of the seasons they finished like lower mid-table, and then obviously the last season they got relegated. But the only thing that was slightly different or majorly different was the goals scored in the final season. That went down considerably, and that's because they had injuries to some of their forward players. And I thought that was just really interesting. If you can go and have a look at that, go and check it out. It's like, I'm sure it'll come up on YouTube if you search for it. Check it out after I've finished though. But it's just kind of interesting, the fine margins in a sense. The only concern I've got about Howe with his Bournemouth team was that they did concede a lot of goals. Like every season they'd concede like 60 goals. So for me, that's where he needs to prove himself, because I'm sure he will improve us going forwards. Can he make us, because we've already conceded a lot of goals, we know we've got issues with defence. I don't know. Like, can he make us stronger at the back? Saint-Maximin's been very quiet since Bruce has gone. I've noticed that too, Trev. I really have. And at what point do we start getting worried about this in terms of Saint-Maximin? It's hard to say anything negative about the guy because he's so popular. But let's be honest, I know people will say, "Oh, the team is not great," but I don't know. He's not imposed himself on the games for me, and it's slightly concerning. I don't actually think that he'll ever be a top player, but I think he's good enough to stick around with us for a while if he wants to, and if he's got the attitude to do it. So I just hope that this is just a little blip, and that under how can make him thrive by playing him in his preferred position. I guess maybe that's part of the problem as well. Madness, Davey. How can you keep a formula that has seen no wins and is negative? It's just exactly. But thankfully, that's going to be over, because Howe's going to be appointed manager, and hopefully we can just move on. Ryan, Bournemouth had to work with what he had and was willing to come to a minnow club and succeed. With Newcastle, we will see what he can really do with better players and better spot. Yeah, but ultimately, his initial job's going to be exactly the same as what he had to do at Bournemouth. Can he make a team of not superstars by any means play together and survive? Can he do that? Yeah, Eddie has top quality manager. It's madness to think he isn't. He hasn't just put himself forward for the crack. I reckon he will be here longer than we all think. Yeah, I was thinking about this myself, actually. I think that if he does manage to keep us up and start rebuilding, and things do go well, he could be here for a long time. He's got a 2.5-year contract or whatever, but actually, I think he's got the potential to be with us for a long time. I sort of sneakily suspect that myself, if I'm honest with you. But time will tell. Obviously, we'll see how things pan out. If it doesn't go right, then it doesn't go right, does it? And he won't be here for that long. But we'll see. We'll see. Sorry, I've got so many messages tonight. I really appreciate all the messages. Thank you so much. That's not true, is it? He didn't dive at all. Watch it back. He didn't dive. He clearly got clipped on the ankle. You watch it again and you'll see. Go watch Match of the Day tonight. So he didn't dive at all. I'm not offended, but that's simply not true. Just go and watch the footage and you'll see. Going back to Saint-Maximin, needs an arm around him. It's how some players have to be managed. Yeah, I think the thing is, I think Saint-Maximin, he was quite clearly the only, as far as I'm aware, the only player who came out and said anything publicly about Steve Bruce when he left. Like, he was the only one to kind of publicly thank him and say that he was a kind man and all that kind of stuff. So he obviously had a good relationship with Steve Bruce. And I think maybe part of it is the fact that Bruce has gone, and maybe he's found that a bit tough. Maybe he found Bruce like to be a bit of a mentor or something. I'm just going to mute for a sec while I cough. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think, yeah, you could well be right that he just needs a bit of an arm around him. And maybe Howe will come in and boost him and just give him his confidence back. You know, at the end of the day, we know he's a good player and he can offer a lot to us. And actually, he's probably going to be key to us staying up this season. So we do need him to start playing well. We do need that. If he's played better under Bruce, he should be unstoppable under Howe. Yeah, so again, fair point. Just like, I think you'd like to think Howe would obviously recognise that he's like a star player in the squad and utilise him. And I'm sure Howe will have an idea as to how to fit him in and play him to his strengths, something that maybe hasn't always happened with him. Only new defenders will help us. I agree, Blakey. January, the end of the day, the defence has to be the priority in terms of signings in January. But we've got to somehow struggle through until January with what we have. And I don't think it's impossible. Like I keep saying this, the squad's not great. We know that, but I do think you can be greater than the sum of your parts. You can be greater than the sum of your parts, and I think hopefully Howe can do that. Hopefully he can come in and make us better than the sum of our parts. But ultimately, eventually, we do need better players. The day will come when we have Wilson and Saint-Maximin on the bench. Give it time. So that's going to be quite a while. Certainly not this season. We need those two firing, and we need to keep Wilson fit. Do I think the penalty was savable? I mean, yes, but I would never blame I'd never blame a keeper for not saving a penalty because it wasn't a horrendous. It wasn't like it wasn't a rubbish penalty. It was an all right penalty, and Dala just made his choice to dive, and he committed to it. So I don't blame him for that. I don't blame him for not saving it. Oh, need a drink soon. I thought, according to the rules, the ref should have booked Wilson for diving if he didn't award us the free kick, or is that wrong? Well, I think what happened was, as soon as the play stopped, it went to VAR. So maybe the referee thought that, but at the end of the day, VAR did do its job in that case. We got the decision. The disappointment was that it happened. The disappointment was that Wilson just wasn't like half a foot wider away from the keeper, and the keeper missed him, because if he had have got past him, he would have scored and we would have probably won the game. Hi there, Teach. I don't know how to pronounce that. From Botswana, wow. We need a centre-back, maybe two. Even with the poor first half, we need boys at the back that we can build off. Totally agree. Yeah, totally agree. We need to build... We need some better defenders. And ultimately, we will get them. We will get them. They will come in. And I think there's no doubt in my mind that we will buy two centre-backs, especially if Howe's going to play four at the back, which I think he will. Then I think he'll want two new centre-backs. And I think that he'll probably look at the squad. He'll want another striker. He'll want some sort of defensive midfielder. He'll want a couple of centre-backs. He might want a new full-back, a left-back maybe. I can see us getting sort of 5 players of that in those positions. I don't think we're going to end up with 7 or 8 signings. I think 5 or 6 is realistic. You also got to be careful that you can't just bring too many players in the middle of a season, and we will have to get rid of some players too. So, but there's plenty of players that you can get rid of without thinking too hard about that. Blakey, evening Blakey. Yeah, agree. The squad isn't great, but how can make us organised and have more belief? And that's what it comes down to a lot of the time. Like, if you're organised and you understand what you're doing, and you've got a plan and you stick to that plan, that's how you can become better than the sum of your parts, because you just play that way. And I think Howe will try and do that, and I think he'll do it quite quickly. But the problem we have, players are too scared to have the ball. And we are a team who have spent the last 2 years at least not having the ball. You could even say it's slightly longer than that, because there was a lot of games under Rafa we didn't have the ball. But when we did have the ball, we did have a bit more about us going forward. I don't want to get into that debate about Rafa and Brewster, because it just annoys people. And to be honest, I'm sick of talking about both of them. So we just need to move on. Hello there. Thank you for joining us. Brilliant. Thoughts on the takeover and the new manager? Well, the takeover is obviously pleasing because we needed it. We needed to get rid of Ashley. So delighted that Ashley has gone. The new manager, I'm happy with. Yeah, I think ultimately, look, I've said this earlier. There's quite a lot of managers that we were linked with. If any of them had come in, I'd have been happy. I know some people are down about Eddie Howe, and maybe it's not the sort of sexiest signing that we could have got, but ultimately, I'm happy with him. I think he's a good manager. I think for whatever reason, he had such a good reputation, and then after the relegation with Bournemouth, it seems like no one wanted him, and I think that's unfair. I think that's a bit unfair. Hey Joe, nice that you're with us as well. Not seen you on my stream for a while, so that's good. If I was the gaffer, I've said this a million times actually. Yeah, for me, Dubravka's the better keeper. You play him, simple as that. Darlow is a good backup. Like I'm not saying Darlow's a terrible keeper or anything like that, but Dubravka's simply better. So yeah, if he's fit, you play him, and that's how I would always approach it. Yes, and another really good point. We've not really had a player like that for a long time. Someone who can run the game from the centre of midfield and put the foot on the ball, control the game, and have good distribution as well. Of course, Kabai's passing ability was fantastic, and at the moment our midfielders aren't like that. I know Shelby sort of likes to ping it about a bit, but ultimately it doesn't quite work enough, and sometimes he doesn't go for the easy option either. We're not going to spend 150 million, and he doesn't need that much in January. I agree with that. I think just like you, there'll be loan signings, and that's the thing. I think it wouldn't surprise me if 2 or 3 of the players that come in are loans, and we buy 2 or 3. That's what I think. So I think we'll end up with 5 or 6 new players, and I reckon 2 or 3 of them will be loans, and 2 or 3 of them will be permanent signings. So there will be people who want to come. And there'll be plenty of players who are like not getting a game but want to prove a point. There's always players in football who want to move. Davey's happy as well with Eddie Howe. Terrific manager. Joe, you're absolutely right. Charlie is still at the club, and it's temporary. He's working. No one knows quite how long he'll be there for, but obviously there's not really a structure in the background because Ashley basically ran the club on bare bones, as we know. So Charlie's going to be there sort of doing a handover, if you like, to whoever comes in next. But how long he'll be there for, I don't know. It's just like the Sports Direct signs. How long they'll be up on the stadium for, no one knows. We know that as part of the deal. Ashley made sure that those Sports Direct signs couldn't come down straight away and that they're up for a short amount of time. But no one's explained what a short amount of time is. So we don't know. And we don't know how long Charlie will be there either. Maybe Charlie will be thrown on the skip along with the Sports Direct signs whenever that will be. Loan with the option to buy on 3 good players in January. If we or they don't like it, they can change their mind. Yeah, exactly. And that's how you get round this thing. I think, I can't remember who it was earlier was saying, like, who's going to want to come to Newcastle? Well, that's how you get around it, isn't it? You buy good loan players with the option to buy. If you stay up, great. If you don't, then they can go back to their club and you're not stuck with massive contracts on players. Why not spend 150 million? I think the thing is, Ryan, I think it's not. I've always said this, and obviously money eventually does buy you better stuff, but it's about buying smart. Like, look at Joe Linton as a perfect example, right? We could buy 4 Joe Lintons, but no one would be happy with that because it's money not well spent. Whereas, if you pick players up for 5 million, 10 million, 15 million, and they're really good, solid performers, and you buy 3 or 4 of them, you've only spent 60, 75 million, something like that. That's better spent. That's a better use of money. You don't necessarily need to spend that much. And ultimately, until we survive this season, until we survive in the Premier League or get back to the Premier League if we get relegated, we can't really plan to spend big yet. Director of football maybe in the next couple of weeks, essential. And I think that will happen, but there's question marks over whether that will happen and whether we will have a director of football. Yeah, so sorry, I know you're not saying spend it unwisely, but what I'm saying is, like, we don't necessarily need to go spending massive money when our job is to survive, because if we spend 150 million in January and still get relegated, that would be could leave us in quite a dodgy position. So I think they'll limit spending in January and they'll go in the loan market because you get better value in January anyway. And let's be honest, people will want to rip us off. It might be that we end up spending 100 million, But I'd be surprised if we spent that much, to be honest. It's all about the players who come in. I think there'd be a really good PR opportunity in getting the fans to just be involved in taking those signs down. Like, how awesome would that be? You know, like the Mackems got the Mackems owners a few seasons ago got the Mackems to fix the stadium seats. Maybe Amanda could get some of us lot in to tear down the Sports Direct signs in the ground. That'd be a lot of fun. I'd be up for that. Who else would be up for that? Who else would sign up to do that? I think it'd be a lot of fun. Be like therapeutic, wouldn't it? Yeah, Overmars to be director of football. Some links to that. Who knows what's going on? I think this last week's shown that some of us, a lot of us, don't. A lot of the press, a lot of the media don't really know what's going on, even though there's been some leakage in some of the stories. But um, Overmars clearly done a good job over at Ajax. So, I mean, if we can get someone like that, yeah, who knows what they're doing and is good at the job. I know that I think Rio Ferdinand's looking for a director of football job. I read on his quotes today. So he said he thinks he'll be brilliant at that. That guy is such a moron, isn't he? Just, yeah. Who I don't think anyone would want Rio Ferdinand as a director of football or sporting director. He's so full of himself, that guy. I read the same group who bought Newcastle United trying to buy Inter Milan. Yeah, this story's been around for a while, actually, Jason. And I don't think it's anything to worry about because they're not looking to buy Inter Milan outright. I don't fully know the details of it, but I think that I read somewhere recently that it's just nothing. It's not anything to worry about, essentially. So we don't need to worry about them buying Inter Milan and leaving us because clearly they wouldn't be able to do that if we ever qualified for Europe. Have two teams. They couldn't own two teams. Raymond thinks we'll be okay. Last three games have been quite hard, onwards and upwards. Totally agree with that. Yes, I do think Howe will play four at the back. Yeah, but I think for the majority of his time, he's played four at the back. So who knows? Like I say, he's gone and learnt a lot, and ultimately at the end, he did get relegated in that last season. So maybe he'll think, oh, maybe that was part of the problem. I don't know. Maybe I don't know enough about how Bournemouth did and played, but what I do know is that most of the time he's played four at the back, and I think he'll probably go with that. So he'll have done a lot of reflecting over the last year and a bit. By all accounts, Blakey can't stand Rio. No, neither can I. Just can't stand. Yeah, it's that. This is the kind of like ridiculous. He's just. I don't really want to get on about Rio Ferdinand, but this is the kind of ridiculous thing that he does. He just spouts nonsense. Like he calls us a yo-yo club. We're not a yo-yo club. Like we're just not. That is not the definition of a yo-yo club. We've had, two relegations in the last whatever it is. And what is it? 5 relegations in our entire history. Rafa spent little but picked up some gems. Dubravka, Cher, Fernandez. Remember when we bought Kabay for a bargain fee? Fulham threw loads of money a couple of years ago and got relegated. Fulham were the team, weren't they? That's kind of when I was referring earlier to, like it's dangerous if you try and change your whole team at once because that's what Fulham tried to do. They literally almost bought a new starting 11 after getting promoted, I think it was, and it just didn't work for them. So you've got to identify the players who can still do a job for you at your current club, and complement them with better players around them. Agree, Michael. The first half performance was absolutely shocking, and it was as bad as anything we've seen in the first half. But the second half was better, but still not great. Yeah, I agree with that comment. I think, but ultimately we have that feeling of disappointment at the end because of the Wilson thing. We really could have won it. Oh, so good. I still can't believe it. Gutted. West Ham got a check to. Yeah, who knows? I mean, honestly, there's so many teams with rich owners now, but I think there's only a handful of clubs with like insanely rich owners, and we're one of them. So, but West Ham are doing amazing. Don't get me wrong. Like they're having a really, really good season. And Moyes has got them playing some good stuff. And yeah, I mean, good luck to them. But hopefully we'll overtake them in the next few years. But we need to survive this season. Exactly. Just ridiculous. And never been in the third tier either. Listen, thank you so much, everyone, for joining me tonight. I'm going to have to go get a drink for my voice. I've done an hour and a quarter, but I really appreciate everyone who's joined me tonight. Thank you so much. Hopefully, Eddie Howe will be announced as soon as possible. And, you know, at the end of the day, we got a point. We're 1 point closer to safety than we were at the start of this weekend. So you got to take the positives. You got to take the positives of it. Just on this one, David. No, if you watch the clip, he completely got taken down by the keeper. Like the keeper clipped him, and his momentum took him down. Otherwise, he would have scored. So he couldn't have stayed on his feet. It would have been impossible for him to stay on his feet because he was running so quickly. Anyway, right. Thank you so much. One last shout for. I always do this. Go and check out my newsletter. There's a link in the description below, and go and read it. It's good. Like I wrote it, it's mint. Thank you so much, and I'll see you really soon. I'm going to do some more videos. I'll probably have a video out tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and yeah, I'll be back with more content really soon. Cheers, everyone. Good night.